sex, let's say, drunk sex. Why shouldn't you have drunk sex? You're already exchanging energies. And then you drain your energy, absorbing all entities, all larvae, all connections. But in reality, we call them entities in a folkloric way, and it seems like some kind of nonsense. In reality, these are clusters of negative energy that over time gain consciousness, just like a neural network, which learns and gains consciousness over time. Similarly, our negative thoughts form clusters that develop their own consciousness. And when we introduce it into our energy field and start spinning it counterclockwise, all negative programs are transferred to the egg. This is basic physics. I understand that scientists might throw a shoe at me now. The most important thing I will tell you when I explain how to do it is that it should never be done to another person. It can only be done to yourself or blood relatives.
Well, let's start with the fact that inorganic beings really do exist. They live much longer than humans in a physical body. They have an entire world, their own micro-universe. You can make contact with them. You can descend into their dimensions. And then this person, with a straight face, just dismisses it all, saying, no, this person made up some nonsense, and then this nonsense was realized. No. There are real inorganic beings. They have a real world, and you can actually visit this world as a guest. At the same time, they also come to our world as guests, and some of them try to stay here, to hold on. Because for them, this is a higher hierarchical part of the universe. For them, it represents development, growth, and penetration into our world.
Can we exchange these entities' energies specifically during sex?
Why entities here? Well, why sex? And we can exchange with these entities energies during eating, during swimming, during sleep. Not an entity. What's sex got to do with it? Why such an emphasis that we're talking about sex right now? We can exchange with them in absolutely any processes. Even during practice, we can exchange with them.
I mean, not our exchange with an entity, but the exchange between people, entities during sex, for example, as mentioned in the video. During drunk sex, you exchange entities. Do you see any connection in this? Is there one?
Well, there's a mess in terms, so that we can talk about it somehow more specifically, more accurately. So look, when we using the word entity, I still mean that it is the consciousness of a living being. We don't need to have sex with another person for some entities that emerge from me to approach another person. They are not tied to me with strings. They simply emerge from the portal that exists in every person. The only question is how open it is. So it doesn't matter at all what the person is doing. If an entity emerged from them, that entity could go, I don't know, bother a cat. Eventually it could reach another person, a neighbor, upstairs, downstairs. No sex. Sex is not the limit at all.
Okay, do people generally exchange energy with each other?
Exactly. But that's a different matter. So we remove the entities. That's it. We are not considering the presence of other living beings. And we take two people. In a person's energy field, there are constraining structures, spasms, tensions, some blocks, barriers, all that reduces our vitality. And so when we come into contact with another person's energy fields, the more extensive this interaction is, the more extremely indeed.
A larger scale synchronization process begins. And these synchronization processes also extend to constraining structures, among others. In other words, roughly speaking, for example, my fist is clenched, tightly clenched. Issues come into contact with you. Your fist is completely relaxed. And my tightly clenched fist begins to transfer to you, and your very relaxed fist transfers to me. And most likely, we will both have slightly clenched fists. This doesn't work in physics, but it works in energy. That is, we, being in different states, balanced each other out, resonated with each other. Therefore, if I have some strong spasms and you don't. It turns out I will share my spasms with you.
But during sex, this contact is at its maximum. It's extremely strong.
Well, it's not at its maximum, but it's quite strong. Quite strong. That is, a person is vulnerable, a person is open.
So at this moment, an exchange is also happening?
Of course. I can even say more. It's enough just to exchange fluids, and this process is already initiated. You don't even need to take anything out of your pants.
And if at that moment, a person at that moment, therefore, if they have bad energy, low energy, or some kind of vibrations in their body, or let's say they have an entity on them and you have sex with such a person, can they somehow transfer it to you?
They will transmit their states into your field. Yes, that will happen. But it's not entities.
Okay, so what will happen then?
Well, look, let's simplify everything. Here I am sitting at home, dissatisfied. Let's say we live together. Here I am sitting at home, completely dissatisfied, just in a robe. You come in, what will I do? I will ruin your mood, no matter what it was. Does that make sense? And we're not even having sex.
I definitely practice with you so you don't affect my mood.
Not pathetically. All right, so you come home, and there's someone negative sitting there. And you come in, you're in a good mood, you've worked, everything's great. But there he is sitting in kind of, at some point, most likely, he will still pull you into his state.
But if I direct my attention there, then definitely.
Exactly.
But if I don't direct it,
Then the question of sex doesn't even arise. During sex, a person is more vulnerable, more receptive, more open. And again, sex varies. There's sex between, for example, a man and a prostitute, who, due to her lifestyle, has developed a blocking mechanism. Otherwise, she simply wouldn't survive.
immunity.
Well, yes. So it's a skill. And there is precisely. This mainly happens when a person is young, when it's the first time in their life, when they are not yet experienced in all this. Especially when it happens for the first time. That's when people are most vulnerable, most receptive, most open, with all shields raised. That's when, yes, they click, and they balance each other. But it's neither good nor bad, it's just how the world is structured, like communicating vessels. I don't know, you can call it whatever you like. But if a person practices, controls their energy, and manages their states, they cannot be swayed. Someone comes to me, and again, this is not about sex, it's about the system itself. Someone comes to me. But obviously their mastery is lower because otherwise they wouldn't have come to me. Their state might be more constrained, more spasmodic, more tense. And so our fields come into contact, and I do not lose my state. I continue to burn, to flow, and even intensify it further. And the person has no choice but to gradually rise to my level, because they cannot pull me down. I am trained. If people are not trained, they easily pull each other down to their levels.
Here it's precisely a question of experience, right?
Mastery. Of course, it's a matter of mastery through multiple repetitions, life situations. Again, there are people who, for example, grew up in a greenhouse-like environment, and they unravel at the very first interaction with society, a real adult one. And there are people who interact with society from an early age. These are mainly street-smart kids. They have adapted perfectly to everything. They know that the world is far from being filled with Bambi-like creatures or whatever they're called, with pink ears flying around and violets. Once a Kayev joke, they already have this system, built to maintain their states. They already know how to insist. They have willpower, and it's not so easy to provoke them emotionally. They know how to think in a conflict situation, rather than just spitting out whatever comes to mind. In other words, they are more adapted to real, true life. But a person who doesn't train in this, yes, will be unraveled by the first thing. You can stop him on the street and say, listen, give me money, and he will give it. Yes, at home he will think, why did I do that? But in a specific situation, he will be as if paralyzed. It's the same in energy. If you are active, if you work in this direction, you understand everything perfectly. And even if such an interaction occurs, you don't drop to that level. On the contrary, you enhance the outflow, you enhance the burning, and the person simply reaches your state. Yes, you will part ways, and he will retreat again, because he doesn't have the mechanisms to maintain himself in this state. But a practicing person has all the mechanisms at hand.
Okay, you just gave an example. When, let's say, one person has, well, I'll call it a field, it's weak, en bois, and the other has a strong one, and it generally balances out during interaction. And if two very strong fields meet, will there be an even greater amplification of some sort?
Of course, yes, and that's how circles are formed. That's how practice groups are built. They multiply with each other. It's the same as when people come to the gym, for example, and they really want to lift weights and do all that and do stretches, because everyone around you is charged for it. But try going to a gym where everyone is eating like there's no tomorrow and watching TV. To a bar. Now try going to a bar with dumbbells and start working out. How long will you last, really? It's the same here. But if you're a trained person, if you're a master, if you're a specialist, you'll manage even in the gym. Dumbbells, start working out, and suddenly everyone will also start trying to do something. That is, you'll reconfigure them. They won't move you. If you yourself are all shy and scared, well then, after about 10 minutes, you'll already be sitting there with them, drinking. It's all about skill. It's all about practice. It's all trainable. Yes, such processes do take place, but not as they were presented in this video. In this video, there are too many, in my opinion, incorrectly chosen words.
It was also said in the video, our negative thoughts form their own consciousness.
No, this is not true. Our thoughts form egregores. And here the issue is not about negativity, but simply about the fact itself. If a large number of people are charged with the same thought, idea, or concept, they will form a common energetic field, which at some point will start to move and live independently. This does happen. This is called an egregore. Zielun also wrote about it. He called them pendulums. It's all the same. Egregores, pendulums. These, as they are called, structures, corporate state structures, energetic ones. It's all the same. And this does happen. But again, this is a large-scale process. It's a huge process. 10 people won't form an egregore. This egregore will be torn to pieces by other more powerful, more mighty egregores. Competition is not needed. These egregores are constantly at war with each other. Christian, Muslim, that is, religious egregores fight among themselves for the number of people they have captured. That is, there is a struggle for the number of people connected to them. The games are state games, but not state games in that sense. There, according to, like in your passport, it says there citizenship, but according to ideological principles. That is, there are games of one ideology, another ideology, a third ideology. There, the fight is to the death.
And in the video, it was also mentioned that you can transfer your energy field, that is some kind of negativity, into an object and leave it there. How do you see that? Definitely.
Definitely, only it happens automatically. You don't need to do anything special for it.
Various rituals.
Well, look, sometimes, well again, what does sometimes mean? So a person comes to me and brings a ring. And what can you say about it? Go ahead, place it on my hand. She places it on my hand, and my hand, it's like it was nailed down immediately. I say, the person who wore it was very heavy, very principled, and destroyed themselves with these principles. Health, completely neglected the soul. As a result, most likely passed away. Tormented by illnesses. I say, that's the vibration of this object. Yes, that's right. I say, and what are you doing with this ring? Yes, it's like, I don't want to wear it, and it's a shame to throw it away. I say, I see. It needs to be cleansed. The energy that has been recorded in it needs to be removed. There are special rituals, there are specific actions that help to do this. This is also a separate topic for discussion.
So do we automatically attach our energy to things?
Of course. Yes, I can even say more. The clothes you wear, especially your favorite clothes, the ones you particularly like. If you give these clothes away to someone else, then you put yourself in a very vulnerable position, because with these clothes, there will be actions performed by another person. They will find themselves in certain situations, and this will be transmitted to you. Therefore, Clothes should not be given away, but burned at best.
And will it affect them somehow?
Of course, of course. And the person who took your clothes will also be influenced by the trail of your actions, your vibrations, your states. This all takes place. And so, on one hand, yes, you might say, well, I'm so great, I'm so good, I gave my things to the homeless. And now your item, imbued with your energy and connected to your field, is on a dying body. Oh, how unfun it will be for you. You will feel all of this, but you won't realize why you're feeling it. But I understand why this is happening. That's why I tell people who practice with me and engage in such things, under no circumstances. If you want to help, give money, but the clothes need to be burned, so that it doesn't end up with anyone.
Okay, and if it has already happened, for example, how can a person protect themselves? I don't know. What can be done about it?
Burn and flow. If we are in a state of very powerful, intense flowing, we become invulnerable when you are pure plasma, pure fire. And everything you've messed up there, all the mistakes, all the foolishness you've done, which permanently affected you, it continues to have an effect. But you are already absolutely invulnerable to this effect. That is, you can burn it all away. If you do nothing about it, you eventually end up buried under it all. Among other things, which also shorten our lives, is food, including. If you only fix your diet, it won't save you, not at all. So of course all these things have their place. And the weaker your position, the weaker your field, the more seriously it affects you. If your position is fiery, your state is fiery, you can achieve a state where nothing can affect you at all. Not even global trends. There, the stars align in such a way that everything is bad for everyone, but for you, it remains as good as it was. And thus, escaping the influence of various systems is, among other things, freedom. This is what practitioners of my tradition strive for. The practices we perform lead to this, to the attainment of this freedom, when you escape the influence, even if that influence hasn't ceased. And it won't cease. You simply become different. And when a person becomes different, they see in contrast, oh wow, how did I even survive in all of this? Somehow you manage to survive like that. And when you have the opportunity to witness all of this firsthand, repeating such foolishness simply becomes impossible. And when you don't see this, when you suddenly fall into depression, you feel bad, uncomfortable, everything is disgusting, right? And also, a week ago, you were happy about how you gladly donated half of your wardrobe to charity. Well, it doesn't align in your head. It doesn't connect, because there is no knowledge.
Thank you, Anton, for your answers. Be sure to write your questions and impressions. We might answer them in the next video.
Do you want to unlock your inner strength and learn to manage energy? The course, Power of Consciousness 1. Practical Energy will provide you with tools to improve health, develop intuition, and gain a deeper understanding of the world. Join and start changing your life right now. Link in the description.